Hey there, this is Dennis Anyone with Dennis Hensley. It's a podcast about making things up and making things happen, creative people, and why and how they do their thing. That's what I love to talk about. I think art and creativity make the bad times bearable, make the world go around, and so I love lifting up people that do that. And today my guest is two of my friends, Frank DeCaro and Jim Colucci. They're both writers, they're married, and they're both pop culture enthusiasts. And they're involved in something very exciting that's happening in Los Angeles. It's called Pride Live Hollywood. It's the ultimate LGBTQ pop culture fest. It's June 11th through June 29th. This is the first year they're doing it. I talked to Frank and Jim a while back about it, and they're like, it's a lot of work, but I think it's going to be fun. And then I looked at the schedule, and I'm like, this is amazing. There's a Golden Girls event. There's a Saturday Night Fever screening with the director. It's one of my favorite movies. I can't wait. And so I wanted to get Frank and Jim on to talk about all the things that are coming up, but also what it's like to put on something like this and why people need it so much now. So that's what we talk about in this interview. But before we get to that, I want to remind you that Dennis Anyone is brought to you by me. I do it because I love it. I find it really meaningful and it connects me to the community, but it's not a big moneymaker, but there are things you can do to support it and support me. And there's more of those than ever, actually. I started a Patreon and a Substack. They're the same thing. They're the same content called Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. And it's some positive, slanted spin-off stuff from the Dennis Anyone podcast, things like the Observation Deck and things like that. But the ending section is always called Come On Get Happy, and it's musings on the science of happiness, a subject I've become very interested in the last few years. I mean, I think throughout my life I thought that our happiness had to be dictated by how things were going, what was working out, you know, were you in a relationship, were you successful, whatever. And when those things weren't lining up so great, I guess I realized maybe there's a way to be happy anyway. And that's what I've tried to do in my life. And it's kind of worked, not always, but a lot of the time. And it's because of these tips and practices and thinking about this stuff that has really helped me. So I love sharing it. I find it really interesting. So I'm going to put a section of one of those episodes at the end of this one because my interview with Frank and Jim isn't as long as it usually is. But if you want to support me in that way, it's $5 a month. You can go to patreon.com and search for Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. Same thing on Substack. And we'll build a little bit of a community. And I like sharing these ideas. So, and if you'd like to do that, but money's tight, email me at dennis@dennishensley.com. I'll hook you up. I just want to build this thing. I think it's meaningful, and I like it. So there's that. The other thing you can do is become a subscriber to DNR Studios. Derek and Romaine Podcast Network, so many fun queer shows. Learn about that at dnrstudios.com. And you can come to the Mismatch Game. It's Saturday, June 7th in Los Angeles. We've got Jackie Beat. We've got Nadia Ginsburg. We've got Tom Lenk. We've got Sam Pancake. We've got Danny Casillas. It's our Pride-themed show, Priding in Plain Sight. We're going to be doing it. And we guarantee you a lot of laughs. Come see us on June 7th. All right, enough of the plugs. Here now is my interview with the Pride Live Hollywood programmers, Jim Colucci and Frank DeCaro. Joining me now from beautiful Studio City, California, it's my friends, Frank DeCaro and Jim Colucci. Welcome back to the podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to have you guys on. We kind of threw this together fast, but you guys are doing something extraordinary, which is the Pride... Let's see, wait. The Pride Live Hollywood? Am I getting the words right? I keep scrabbling them up.
You stuck the dismount and everything.
The Pride Live Hollywood Festival. It's the ultimate LGBTQ pop culture fest, June 11th through the 29th. And it's got all these fun events. And my first question is, what possessed you? Because this sounds like a lot of work and a ton of fun. So I'm a little jealous, and I'm a little bit like, good luck, guys. I have a mix of that happening.
You're right on all fronts.
Yes.
This came together through a variety of ways. We were asked by friends who work with the Hollywood Partnership and the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce to put together a festival with them. And Hollywood is very interested in being a center of pride now that they have their own Pride Parade. They want to extend it all month long. And of course, they want to bring in general business and visitors to Hollywood. So that all is kind of the business reason for doing it. And then Frank and I have it close, near and dear to our hearts because we, for so many years through the Frank DeCaro show on SiriusXM, broadcast live from Outfest, which would be every July.
Right.
And Outfest, it has ceased to be for the past few summers, and we hope they come back at some point. But it's left a hole in the community where we don't have that communal gathering space anymore, not only to promote worthy vehicles in film and television, but also just to be together, and particularly in this climate.
And as you know, Dennis, gays love a hole.
I mean,
So-
I'm glad you guys didn't use the word gape, because apparently that's trending. Yes, so thank you for stepping up and filling.
Thank you. Yeah, it was gaping, and we thought we can definitely shove some things in there and make people's summer hot and sexy.
Yes.
So yes, we put a bunch of stuff together. Kind of some of which are our own passions, but just things we were like, oh, this would be a really fun thing to do. And so we're doing everything from a Queer as Folk reunion to a Saturday Night Fever dance party and screening with the director and Donna Pescow of Angie fame.
Those are both huge scores. Those are huge scores because I love that movie, and I go see it whenever it pops up. And there's not, I've never seen Badham at any of these. I remember seeing it at the Academy when they were all there. The faces were there, and Pescow was there. Like, this was probably 10 or 15 years ago. It's one of my top 3 favorites. So
and it's so 70s and so gritty. People think, oh, it's going to be just beautiful dancing with John Travolta, and it is that. But it's a gritty movie about being a working class striver, wanting to have some glamour and better your own life. It's a 70s movie the way Mean Streets is a 70s movie.
And it's A-list talent. They are joining us, and really throughout the festival. I have to say that one of the things Frank and I feared is that because this idea for the festival came about kind of last minute. I mean, we only all got together in like April to start planning something for June. It won't be that way next year. We'll have more lead time. And so I thought with so little lead time, what's going to happen when we reach out to talent? Are they going to say, forget it, I've planned my June, whatever? And you know what? People have been very flexible because I think we all feel the same thing. We're in this environment where the Trumpers are turning against us, and we all want to be able to do something and get out there and just say our piece and celebrate our community. And so people have been so generous in terms of rearranging schedules and calendars to be able to join us. And so
the answer's been yes from almost everyone we've gone out to. And the other ones I'm going to try and shame into joining us as we go along.
We are doing a 40th anniversary celebration of the Golden Girls with a queer perspective.
And oh my God, we can't say what it is, but there is a super fan. If you're a Golden Girls super fan, you cannot miss
We are going to show you something never before seen by any Golden Girls fan.
Oh, wow. Something.
Mind.
You'll go out of your mind.
And those fans have dug and scraped, so this must be something really special.
This is definitely, I had never seen it before last week.
Well, I wrote down everything that's on the schedule, so we're going to go through them because I have questions about each and every one. But one thing I want to clarify is when you say Hollywood, you mean literally the city of Hollywood, where it is, not just like the idea of Hollywood.
It's both. It's both because obviously it's the idea of the entertainment industry, Hollywood. But the physical city of Hollywood is what the Hollywood Partnership and the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce are involved with, of course. And I never realized, we've been to events all over LA, including all over Hollywood. And I never quite realized how many of the really gorgeous venues are the ones in Hollywood. And there are so many venues, too, that are historic and yet renovated beautifully that are in Hollywood. And so between new places like the W Hotel, where we're having an event, and more historic spaces like Neuhaus, which has been renovated beautifully, the Ricardo Montalban Theater, the Hotel Astor. So many gorgeous spaces have lent themselves to this festival, and it's really going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. It is Hollywood. The city needs a zhuzh. Everyone who lives here knows it needs a little polish, and this is our way of helping with that project and giving it a little bit of a little spreading of some fairy dust and making it look pretty,
Yeah, but there is something kind of down and dirty about it too that's kind of fun, and it's like, yeah, the history of it is there every time I go to the Egyptian or any of these places.
Right.
So I wanted to just clarify the Hollywoodness of it all. So you're starting off with a Norman Lear event. Talk to me about that.
Yes. Well, I really was thrilled that while I was writing another book about the Love Boat, I was contacted, having interviewed Norman a few times for magazines, I was contacted to write a book with him in 2021 about All in the Family. That was the 50th anniversary celebration. So that kind of kicked off my real deeper connection with Norman. But one of the first things we thought of doing when we were putting together this festival, with us having just lost Norman, is let's do a tribute to him, but a tribute that hasn't been done in other ways. Let's really have the queer community tribute him, because All in the Family, in its 5th episode ever on the air in 1971, presented an episode called Judging Books by Covers that was really groundbreaking in having 2 queer characters in it that surprised the audience. And that was really ballsy for Norman to do, because this was a brand new show and he took on one of the most controversial topics he could from the very beginning. And that love of our community and support of our community lasted throughout the next 50 plus years of his career. And so when I went back and really thought, can we put together this tribute to Norman, which we are co-producing with the Norman Lear Center at USC Edinburgh.
And it's going to be at Emerson College, which was his alma mater.
So that's in Hollywood, a brand new, beautiful complex in the past few years. When I was putting together these clips, I am blown away by the dozen clips I found that span that 50 years of all the different shows that we know and love. Maude, The Jeffersons, All in the Family, Sanford and Son, One Day at a Time, Fernwood Tonight,
Mary Hartman,
right.
and Clean Slate, and more.
He's got a show coming out this fall that our Greg Cope White did called Boots, who was on this podcast to promote the book that it's inspired by called Pink Marine. So
about
there's still Norman Lear stuff to come.
Clean Slate is the Laverne Cox sitcom that was just given only one season, unfortunately, at least so far, on is it Amazon Prime?
It's on Amazon Prime now. We are going to be doing a separate celebration of Clean Slate because we really want to boost that show and hope it gets picked up somewhere else because it so deserves more seasons. It's a really wonderful and really sweet and funny show that happens to have a trans character. I mean, I'm thrilled it does, but I mean, even for people who aren't watching it for that reason, watch it because it's just a sweet, funny show.
Are you having anyone from the show be there?
Yes. So we're Dan Ewan, one of the co-creators.
Excellent.
And cast, and we may have some cast, but we're definitely having writers and producers from the show.
Yeah, I love it. And then you've got a Queer as Folk reunion. Who's going to be there?
Oh my gosh! So the Queer as Folk reunion is that's on the 12th.
Yep,
that's
of June.
Thursday, 12th, and that is going to be the 2 creators, Dan Lippman and Ron Cowan, as well as 6 cast members: Hal Sparks, Scott Lowell, Robert Gant, Sharon Glass, Peter Page, Michelle Clooney.
Wow, that's solid.
Good.
That's really good.
So it's going to be a real wonderful reunion.
I remember I wrote the first cover story on Queer as Folk for The Advocate, and I got to go to Toronto to do the interview. And I just remember I remember the lead was there was a sign saying don't put dildos on the wall above the copy machine because they're going to fall because it was going to fall and hit the copy machine. Like I guess that had become a prank or a running gag, and that was that was one of my bits, the dildo and the copy machine. That's so exciting. And I can't believe how long it's been, but that's a great lineup and people are going to love it.
Dennis, did you go on set? I went on set in Canada for TV Guide.
I went on set and it was a scene between Hal Sparks and Gail Harold. And I watched it all happen. I watched the match.
I know. I was I have a great picture in the diner with the whole cast. But yes, it was all about that sign over the copy machine or fax machine or whatever it was, because apparently a dildo had fallen and broken one of their machines. And so it's a cautionary tale. Embrace homosexuality and keep your dildos anywhere but near the copy machine.
Yeah, they're not dealing with this kind of thing on Seventh Heaven. Let's put it that way. That's going to be really fun. And then you have A Big Fat Gay Hairy Hit, which is a documentary about where the bears are, the hit web series. Tell me about that.
Let me tell you, that is selling so quickly that it may sell out. We're trying to move it to a bigger theater, but you can still get tickets. That is a documentary about the making of Where the Bears Are, and we're going to have the 3 co-creators as well as cast members from the documentary who had also been in Where the Bears Are joining us. And it's a celebration of that web series that is so immensely popular. The bear community is very tight-knit and very loyal.
And where is the after party / bear orgy going to be? Has that been set yet? Because
may all be at the
after
same
that documentary, it's going to be like the friskiest, buriest scene afterwards.
Yes. Well, it's going to be a documentary, a talkback, and a dance party all on the roof of the Montalban Theater, which is a gorgeous space. We were just there.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And then you
should
got...
we like roll in honey and then do it? Yeah. I think that's what we should do. Definitely.
Sure. Allee Willis is somebody that I've covered a fair amount on this podcast. There's a documentary about her, and I just did a pop-up book episode with Hillary Carlip. So you're showing that documentary, which is one of the best things I've seen in the last few years. Talk about that.
Yeah, Allie, we saw that documentary first probably when you did at the center, the Renberg Theater here at the Gay and Lesbian Center.
I think it was a premiere.
That was like
screening.
The premiere.
Yeah.
And we're thrilled to be able to show it so more of LA can see it. And we're going to have some of Allie's friends who were interviewed in the documentary joining us as well for the panel afterward. But yeah, Allie was an incredible songwriter and an incredible character. Just visually, she was famous for that asymmetric haircut.
And her little car that she tooled around in L.A.
And the Museum of Kitsch, which is what she turned her house into in the Valley, a pink memorial to all things kitschy.
And
it's something else.
People called her the female Pee Wee Herman, the real life Pee Wee Herman, and I kind of like that. But she was the songwriter behind such songs as September by Earth, Wind and Fire and Boogie Wonderland. She
Neutron Dance, the Friends theme song.
Yeah, the Friends theme song. And no one ever remembers
the
this
music
one.
From the Color Purple Broadway musical.
And the Pet Shop Boys and Dusty Springfield's What Have I Done to Deserve This? She co-wrote that with Pet Shop Boys. And so she was just this great character, this big asymmetrical haired diesel delight diva. She was wonderful. And I'd known her for many, many years, but didn't, wish I'd known her better. But we did get a tour of the house. But anyway, people will learn about her. And I think that with the Pee Wee documentary making so much noise, I think that people will really like seeing this because it scratches the same itch that does.
And Paul Rubens is in this documentary as well.
They're friends. Like I did the tour as well for the pop-up book, and there was some detail that was a button or a knob on something that had been turned into Paul Rubens' face. Like there was a lot of give and take in terms of the inspiration between the two of them.
And
apparently.
Allie had a giant bowl filled with Afro picks, which was my favorite thing in her house. It was a huge, the kind of bowl you could put, fruit for 50 in, and it was filled with Afro picks. And that was just because she thought they were great.
Yeah.
And,
why not? Why not?
And then you're doing the Golden Girls 40th anniversary panel. What is it, Jim? You're headlining this one.
It's going to be clips of episodes that featured LGBT characters or content. And the funny thing, in 2006, I wrote my first Golden Girls book, and it was for a queer publisher. And so I said, okay, the way I'm going to distinguish this from the larger book that I'm going to write later, which I did in 2016, is that this book, the smaller book, is going to be just about queer episodes. And I thought, okay, I remember Clayton came, Blanche's brother showed up twice, and there was the gay caterer at Sophia's wedding. And I thought, okay, that's a couple episodes. Oh my God, when I really went back and made the list, there are so many episodes. That show, most sitcoms, even the most progressive-minded sitcoms, would have a queer character maybe once, and it would be like the best friend of the protagonist of the show, like Sam Malone, would show up and come out, and Sam would say, "You're my best friend. We'll be friends forever," and you'd never hear from the guy again. But that would be the one time the show would tackle the topic whatsoever. The Golden Girls just went back to that well over and over because they were so loyal to the community and knew that they could get away with it because of the older characters being able to say things other people couldn't. And so that's one of the thesis of my book had been, why did the Golden Girls love the queer community so much, and why does the queer community love the Golden Girls so much and keep it alive 40 years later?
Yeah.
So we're going to be discussing that on stage, and we're going to be showing clips from the show with writers from those episodes and possibly some guest cast from those episodes. And then I'm going to lower the boom and show this very special, never before seen surprise that will blow people's mind.
Wow. Can you talk about how you came upon the surprise? Can you tell us anything else?
Sworn to secrecy about it. It came to me last week and blew my mind.
And if you are, I do not say this lightly. If you are a Golden Girls super fan, you'll go out of your mind when you see this.
Oh, wow. Talk about luring everybody in. What's interesting to me is the gay community has always loved the Golden Girls, but I think there are other diehard fans. When you do these events, is it an interesting mix of people? Like, okay, there's the queer community, and then there's just like regular folks. Like who else comes to these things?
Yes.
That you do?
We've been guests on the Golden Girls cruises that have gone out. We've been to Golden Con in Chicago. And I'd say the two largest groups are gays, like gay men. And then there's a lot of mother-daughter or sisters or women who bonded over the show watching it together, straight women usually. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that there aren't plenty of lesbians, and there are straight couples, and there's a little bit of everything. But yes, I would say like two big groups are the gay community and then women, sorority sisters even, who watched it together. And it just shows that there always was this affinity between LGBT and Golden Girls that lasts to this day.
Now that I'm probably well older than every one of those women when that show started, I mean, there used to be the joke around certain cliques of gay friends that we're going to be like the Golden Girls when we're older and we're going to get a place. And now I'm like, literally, let's call a meeting and start. I've got a clipboard. We got to maybe there's going to be a Google Doc.
It's time, Dennis. It's time.
We got to start.
I'll be Sophia. I am Sophia, so I'll do it for you. I'm happy to.
Yeah, I guess we could have a happy couple in the mix. I don't know. But maybe you could be in the guest house, or you know what? You're in the main house. You're in the main house.
Thank you. I feel better now.
Thank you. Of course, you're in the main house. Frank, you're going to do an authors panel, and I assume you're appearing on it or moderating?
I'm going to appear on it, and I think Jim is going to moderate.
Fantastic.
And, it's great. We're going to talk to Rashid Newson, who wrote the novel My Government Means to Kill Me. We're going to talk to Curtis Chin.
I have him on the podcast.
Yes. Everything I learned in a Chinese restaurant.
Here's what strikes me about Curtis Chin, because I follow him on Instagram. He has worked that book. There are pictures of him holding that book in giant groups of people, different associations, all over the country, like
all over the world. He's touring Europe with it right now.
I mean, he is the Taylor Swift of gay book authors with this Endless Eras tour.
It's a wonderful book. It was so heartwarming. I've known Curtis for decades, and there are things I didn't know about him until I read the book. But oh my God, it just warmed my heart. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree.
We're also going to do some nonfiction things with my disco book, Alonso Duralde's Pride Guide to the Movies, which is all gay-themed movies. And the guru of gurus, Bruce Valanche, is going to talk about his book. It seemed like a bad idea at the time.
Lovely.
And this seemed like a good idea at the time.
And yet there's more. John Canale, a wonderful Will and Grace writer whom I love, is going to be talking about his new memoir. And then we have fiction. We didn't mention Mark B. Perry's book.
I guess I did. I don't always listen, Dennis.
That's really all right. That's all right.
I'm Sophia. I was at the home and I wasn't listening. And
it's all good. And then you've got the Clean Slate Laverne Cox screening with some of the folks there. We've already talked about that. Saturday Night Fever, the screening. How did you score Is it Badham? Badham. How did you score the director?
The producers of this, we're the programmers. So the producers of this had a connection, and they reached out to him, and they're like, here's his email. And he said, call me. And I called him. He said, oh, this will be fun.
That's what I mean about A-listers wanting to just be part of this, because it's a way to just be in the moment and celebrate and when we need it.
What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Stay home and watch cable news? No.
Exactly. And pull our hair out over the worry, Yeah.
And we want to ask him if the storyline was the young guy who who jumped in the movie,
Barry Miller's character.
Was Barry Miller's character in love with Tony Manero?
I think he was. I always read it that way.
Oh, he was so heartbreaking. Now we're going to
find out.
Yes.
Barry Miller was like an MVP of a lot of those movies of that time. Fame, like he's so good. Here's what I want to know, and I'm sure you're going to talk about it with them, is like, what happens to Donna Pescow's character?
She raises rabbits and then makes coats. Pete's rabbit coats.
Yes, she has that amazing coat. But like in the wake of Me Too and all of that stuff that has happened, her stuff is even more heartbreaking.
Yes.
than it was at the time. But at the time, it was just part of the movie, and now we look at it and we go, "Oh my God." I don't know that. I'm just interested in all of that and how it felt to be her making that movie.
Talked about that in my book, which is great. But say, of course, what I cared about was somebody stole the Peace Rabbit jacket and they had to go find a new one in a hurry. So I like those kinds of questions. But yes, we'll ask the serious questions. I promise to.
No, it's just like that stuff. When you go back and watch it, you're just like, oh my God, I can't remember. This was like a teenage movie poster on the wall movie, and yet it's this gritty, hard hitting thing. And Tony Manero is one of my heroes of literature.
Okay. Tell me when Tony Manero is in the black shorts and he sits up in bed and he fixes himself, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Did you, as a kid, did you not like swallow your tongue and have? They almost needed to call the paramedics. I was so worked up. I was like, oh my God,
Well, my favorite thing is when he's getting ready in the Dusty Rose disco slacks and he zips up the pants. Like that's when I lose my mind. I like disco clothes. I think I was coming into puberty at that time, so I see somebody in those clothes, I get really turned on.
Well, feel free to wear your disco clothes to the screening.
And you look good in them.
Because
you look very good in them.
It's followed by a disco dance party.
I'm right. You've asked for it. So
our screening is followed. It's at the W Hotel on the beautiful rooftop space, and it's followed by a disco dance party.
Yeah. So I'm so excited that you're doing that. That's going to be amazing. Then you have a Walk of Fame tour. I'm intrigued by this. What's happening with that?
Okay, we named it today. We're calling it Stargazing, and we're going to walk around Hollywood and out the sidewalk. Basically, I'm going to talk about celebrities along with
all the queer celebrities with stars.
Yeah,
that's going to be like the short film I made with Jack Harris, Evie's Harris Shining Star. Did you ever see that?
I don't know, but bring Evie too. She can walk around and comment on things. It'll be perfect. But Kristen Carroll is a comedian who's very, as we used to say in the 50s when I wasn't alive. She's a comic and she's very funny and a fabulous lesbolian. And so we're gonna walk around Hollywood and do that, and then go for a drink somewhere. I'm not sure where we've decided it's going to be yet, but so that's going to be one of the things. So stargazing. I'm gonna talk shit about Cesar Romero is the way I describe it to people. Things like that.
Exactly. If that doesn't get people off the couch, I don't know what will. Then you've got Relax, It's Just Sex, the film directed by my friend PJ Castellaneta, starring Jennifer Tilly and Mitchell Anderson, Lori Petty. Talk to me about that.
Some of them are going to be there.
Jennifer Tilly and others will be there.
Amazing.
On a panel afterward. Yes, we're really celebrating the producer, Stephen Wolf, as well. And
fantastic.
So, going to be kind of a tribute to him. There may be some casts from others of his films there as well. And we're going to talk about this. This movie came out in the late 90s, and I don't know if people know it like they should, because it really had some groundbreaking queer content in it.
Yeah, I haven't seen it back in the day, so I'm excited to see it again.
I'm an extra in one scene.
Oh my God.
My friend PJ was making it, and there was a scene set in like a coffee house that was shot at this place that was called the Hollywood All-Star Cafe, and it was in the bottom of the Hotel Knickerbocker, and it was run by this really cool, interesting man named Max. And I used to have parties there all the time, and it was like this haunted. They would do seances, and it was this wild place. And I think I discovered it because I went to a party for some movie there, and Sandra Bullock was there. Anyway, I ended up hosting parties there and doing things there. And Mitchell Anderson is doing some meeting there, and I think I'm on a laptop computer in one scene, and he walks by me.
I love that.
Yeah. So, and I got to see it at Sundance. It's really a beautiful movie, and so many great performances. And
when you come to the festival, please will you scream out during your scene?
For sure. I often do that. That's probably the only one that's ever qualified for it. And then you've got two movies that I haven't seen that are relatively new, The Grotto and Unicorns.
There's something
else before that.
What's that?
That we're announcing.
Which day is that going to be?
Thursday, June 26th.
Okay. Thursday, June 26th. We are going to show a very rare screening of a new documentary called The Big Johnson about Dean Johnson. Now, Dean was a pioneer in queer punk rock.
Okay.
And he was a drag queen, and he was a 6'7" sex worker, a.k.a. The Big Johnson.
Okay.
And he gave the greatest parties I have ever been to in my entire life, called Rock and Roll Fag Bar. And it was on Tuesday nights in the most dangerous part of the East Village in the late 80s and early 90s. And so he will talk about...
He won't talk about it.
We will talk about, and the movie celebrates him. and kind of talks about his very mysterious death and whether it was a homicide. We don't know what it was. But it's really a celebration of his life and of what he means to New York nightlife, and also what he means to punk rock music. He has my favorite. I can talk dirty on your show, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
He has my favorite couplet in all of punk rock. It's from a song called Fuck You that was featured in Mondo, New York, this independent film. And it's fuck thermonuclear war, fuck Mary Tyler Moore, fuck you. And that's my favorite rhyming couplet of all in punk. And I asked him when he was alive, and I said, gets better when you ask living people. But I asked him why Mary Tyler Moore, and he said, because you'd come out from the clubs. He said, and it would be on. Remember, he said it would be on back to back at like 2:30 and 3 o'clock in the morning. I was like, yes. And he said, well, you'd come home and there'd be nothing else on. He go, oh, fuck Mary Tyler Moore. And he said, that's where it came from. It's not really her. It's that it was on at 2:30 in the morning. So I thought that was hilarious. And the movie is really, really fun and adult and naughty. And I loved it. And he's one of those people where you're like, we need to remember because no one else is gonna, he's one of those nightlife personalities that made being in New York at that time so much better and really kind of presaged the way we look at being queer now. I mean, his whole queercore movement and his whole gender fuck drag thing and you could be 6'7" with a huge peenie and wear a dress and gorgeous earrings and shave your head and be fabulous. And so there's a lesson there as well. But he's just really fun and funny.
And we'll be joined by people from
the filmmaker,
the rock and roller.
And Mario Diaz, who's in the film talking. And Mario's great. He's sort of picked up the torch, and he's sort of the Dean Johnson of now in terms of
in LA.
LA doing these amazing parties.
Doing clubs like what's the Sunday one called?
Hot Dog.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And then you have a movie called The Grotto.
Yes, an independent film that is just coming out. It's written and directed by Joanna Gleason, who I've always loved in everything.
Interesting.
And I think it's
She's
her
the
directorial
baker's wife from Into the Woods, the original.
Directorial debut, and it features a cast of people that you love: Betsy Brandt, Dan Bukatinsky, Steve Kazee. Just really great cast, and it's a really touching story about a woman whose fiance suddenly dies, and male fiance suddenly dies, and she then inherits his share of this desert club called the Grotto, and
in Joshua Tree,
and learns of his secret life and his secret community. And really, it's a beautiful story about healing, and it's got great music throughout. That's the other thing.
And it's really it's a
sweet
real
and
pleasure
funny.
And sweet and
when
funny.
I say healing, when I hear that myself, I think, oh, that sounds like it's going to be touchy feely, and it's not. It's really it's a sweet, funny film.
If you're a certain age, Joanna Gleason is Monty Hall's daughter.
Wow. I did not know that. That's
Isn't
a
that
fun
good?
fact.
Yeah, that's a fun fact.
I wonder if she would make a deal when she wanted to like go out and stay out late. Like she would say, because he was Let's Make a Deal, right? She'd be like, I'm going to stay out late, or you can pick the closet number 3.
And he'd say, okay, you can stay out late if you happen to have a safety pin. Do you have a safety pin?
Do you have a safety pin in your purse?
I just hope she didn't go on a date and say, take the box in a heated moment. That would be bad. So, or good, but
okay.
naughty.
Well, now we're definitely not getting Joanna Gleason to join us for the screening when she hears your Let's Make a Deal jokes.
Take the box. Okay, sorry.
You know what? One of the great things that could happen to a person is, but you can never make it happen. It either happens to you or it doesn't, which is somebody dies and leaves you a business that broadens your horizons.
Yes.
You can't set out for that to happen.
Especially when it's a surprise.
When it's a surprise and you're like, what am I going to do with this place? This place is very different from what I expect. Like I would go on that adventure.
And it is. The Grotto is quite an unusual place, as you'll see.
Yeah, all right. I want to inherit a place that's kind of random, and like I guess I'm going to have to learn to grow. And then the Unicorn. Oh, the Unicorns is a British movie. Is that right?
Oh well, one thing you skipped is our second disco night.
Oh, Can't Stop the Music.
Yeah, we're going to do Can't Stop the Music, the Village People movie, the movie that almost killed movie musicals, and may have killed disco in the... No, it didn't really do any of those things. But it was, it's the Village People origin story, and it is the ultimate camp fest, and I've been saying since 1980 that it's not a bad film. It's a brilliant film in the way Showgirls is a brilliant film, in that you just do not... If you blink, you will miss something very important in the entire movie. There's a Leatherman singing Danny Boy, and you find out, this is what I found out in writing the disco book, he really did that as his audition for the Village People was be a Leatherman singing Danny Boy. Okay. I thought that was the funniest gag ever. No, that was what the Queen did. God rest his soul, Glenn Hughes.
I think a lot of Leathermen have that softer side. Like, I'm a Leatherman, lick my boot, and then I'll show you my Care Bear collection. Like, I feel like there's a...
Someone told us that, was it Estelle Getty said, oh, I like Leathermen. They all love opera.
Yeah.
Is that Estelle Getty? It's true. They all have Barbra Streisand, you know.
Yeah.
You just say Gemma Pell, anything, and they know what you're talking about. Leathermen are big queens like the rest of us.
What's your favorite part?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, what's your favorite part of Can't Stop the Music? I mean, YMCA is amazing.
I like when the little kids, do they do milkshake? I like when the little kids are dressed.
I just say milkshake is my favorite. That's where I'm like, this has gone completely off the rails.
Yeah, because that's when you're like, boy, they were mad about the Oscars with Snow White and Rob Lowe. This is even crazier, especially when the kids come out. And I Love You to Death, which is the only song that David Scar, quote unquote, Hodo, the construction worker, or Hard Hat, as he was originally called, sings the lead vocal. And he was like, I'm never doing that again. But I love that it's I Love You to Death. And it's sort of the S&M number with these women in high heels who are going to step on him with their heels and stuff. It's very fun. I love that movie.
And we're going to be joined by Bruce Valanche, the screenwriter, and Lee Taylor Young, one of the stars, plus possibly some other stars who are about to confirm. So we'll be announcing that on our website.
Yeah.
I love it. And then we get to the movie Unicorns. Yes. Tell me about that.
Film. It's a UK film that is very reminiscent of The Crying Game, about a blue-collar guy who falls in love with a gender non-binary person. And it's a really beautiful, sweet film. It's getting so much accolades in the UK, and this will be one of the first times it's ever shown here in the US. And it's going to be preceded by a short called Barbie Boy by Remy Gabriel, and that is a darling from Frameline, an awards winner from Frameline.
Yeah, it's a buzzy short film that people are like, oh, this is someone to watch. This filmmaker is someone to watch. And we're like, oh, well, that will be good. So yeah, we really wanted it to be the whole festival be the sort of crazy quilt of stuff that was intriguing to us. So it's some new movies, some old movies, some young people, some older people, and really all pop culture looked at through a queer lens. And that's, I think, the important thing. It's not so much that everything is queer pop culture. It's pop culture from a queer vantage point. And I think that's what we're bringing to it. When they got us to be the programmers, we're like, well, that's the way we look at things. I remember when I was doing the radio show on OutQ, somebody said, well, you talk about going to Chili's. And I said, yeah, going to Chili's is not a queer experience. But if I go with my husband, it's a queer experience. So,
I fucking love Chili's so much. It's not even
Yeah, me too. We're going to have a date. We talked about this last week.
Chili's Encino. Come on.
I'm looking at a hat that my friend Rebecca gave me that says, good girls go to heaven, bad girls go to Chili's. Or I may have the adjectives wrong, but it's about being good or bad and going to Chili's. And I'm into that.
Yes, we're bad girls because we do like it, and I have to say we're ready to do that anytime you are. But yeah, I think that we're shining a rainbow light on things, and I'm excited about it. And boy, do we need it this summer! Come on, let's boy each other up or girl each other up. No, boy each other, BUOY, and get us in good spirits again.
Yeah, I mean, not to be a downer, but every time something bad happens, we're so happy we're doing this festival. Every time we read about World Pride, how they're screwing up World Pride in D.C. and canceling events at the Kennedy Center, it makes us say, thank God here in L.A. we have people who support us, and we have people who are willing to come out for us and make this community celebration special.
Yeah. They say queer joy is a radical act. So I say let's spread some queer joy all through June. So always, but particularly in June.
What have you guys been surprised by in putting this together? Because this feels like you guys have produced things before, but this feels like a new animal.
Yeah, it was for me. It was the amount of yes that I have gotten almost no, just plain no. We're not interested in doing that, and even then it would be because our show is in flux or whatever. That it would be something about the vehicle. The amount of yes in the short time frame, because people have certainly their June and beyond planned on their calendar, but people were willing to move things around to be able to join us.
That's pretty amazing. What about for you,
also,
Frank?
People are, for me, I think is the right answer, but I also think that people saw an article in the Hollywood Reporter, which ran a beautiful feature. There are presenting
our media sponsor.
And the Hollywood Reporter article comes out, which I don't think of as a consumer magazine, really, but I guess in this town, everyone reads the Hollywood Reporter. But people were coming out of the woodwork saying, "How can I help? Can I come? Do you need anything? Can we perform there? If there are any sponsors out there, I know where your money can go. I'll tell you. We can program stuff at the last minute. That there's a disco artist who called and said, "I'd love to be at your thing." And when I heard the price, I said, "It's not a lot, but we have no budget. And if it becomes a budget, you could come and sing at our disco night, and it would be amazing. But we need to raise a little cash." So,
you guys, what do you think about the idea of nostalgia generally? Like, because there's so much that I enjoy looking back on. I've got a whole group of friends that were now the Xana crew about Xana. Like, it's what are we doing? Are we? Is it a kind of escapism? What itches it scratching? Does it sometimes keep you from enjoying new things? I know friends that won't go to new movies. I'm not that way. I love all of it. But what do you think of these things?
My whole take on that is, you can't, if you're old, you've got to keep current. And if you're young, you've got to become a bit of a historian.
Right.
And I think that you need to know what came before. And if you're older and you were there for what came before, you need to know what comes now. So you have to be able to go, "Oh, this is that Chapel Roan song," even if you're 62.
Yeah.
But you can't be 23 and say, "Oh, that was before I was born." Okay, every good movie was before I was born, and I'm in my 60s. Okay, so you basically, you can't take that away. I think if you live in the past, it's bad, but I think it's certainly fun to visit.
Yeah,
especially when you bring new eyes to it, which is what you're doing with the Xanadu events, what we're doing with Pride Live Hollywood. You're looking at older things and screaming at either how groundbreaking Norman Lear was, or what a camp classic Can't Stop the Music was, or how amazing Laverne Cox is in a show that if you close your eyes, it might as well be Sanford and Son. It's that sweet and funny, and yet it's about a trans woman who goes home and her dad is like, "You were my son and now you're my daughter and I love you," and that's kind of revolutionary in its sweetness. So I think keep up, people. That's what I'm saying. Keep up.
Keep up. No, I think it's important. Jim, any thoughts on that?
No, I would reiterate the same thing that Frank said. I think that nostalgia, it only keeps you from enjoying current stuff if you let it, and if you spend your whole life and your whole psyche there. But if you want to visit to get away from the current trouble and keep yourself sane, I think that it's a healthy respite. And it's something that I found actually when I was writing my Love Boat book. I was researching and calling Love Boat guest stars out of the blue all through the pandemic, certainly. And I found that during 2020 and the darkest days of the shutdown, there were so many stars who, first of all, didn't have an excuse not to talk to me. They couldn't say, "I'm sorry, I'm traveling that day," because we were all locked down. Right. But the other thing is, I would find people who were big stars, like I talked to Kathy Bates and all these amazing stars who were willing to spend time with me. And at the end, so many people would say, "Thank you so much for taking me in my head out of 2020, at least for this hour, and bringing me back to 1978 or whatever it was."
Right.
Because it was like a little mini vacation, and it feels really good. And I think that that's a really great use of nostalgia and of a lot of the things that we're programming. Take yourself out of the politics of 2025 for a minute and laugh at Can't Stop the Music, or dance with us for Saturday Night Fever. The struggle will still be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the new content will still be there tomorrow.
Yeah, no, for sure. What about in terms of stuff? Because I know collectors who are like, loved stuff, and then they were suddenly like, oh, I think I'm done with stuff. I need to get rid of this shit. What? Quitters. So you're still in. You have not changed.
I like physical media.
Yeah.
I like collectibles.
Yeah.
I like paper collectible. I love crap.
You're talking to a mixed marriage here. When I
know. I was looking at Jim's face going, that's not the story his face is telling.
No. When I finally do kill Frank, actually, I won't have to kill Frank because eventually a pile of DVDs will fall over and kill him.
Yeah. He'll die under a pile of Batman shit.
Yes. Yeah. When he finally does go, it will be about merchandise.
Yeah. No, I always say, you should only keep things that spark joy. And you know what sparks joy? Clutter. It sparks joy. I love that everywhere I look, there's something I love.
That is the funniest thing. I love it so much. Tell people how they can learn about this festival. And I doubt that there's anything streaming or anything for people that aren't in LA for this, but maybe they keep their eye on it and down the line, there may be something out there for folks.
Yeah, we're working on that. We have to figure that out.
Yeah.
And also we'll hopefully be archiving things that you might be able to see later if you're out of town. But come join us live and in person. You can get all the information at Pride Live Hollywood. The tickets are in some cases free, for our authors panel. Certainly we want people to come buy the books instead of paying to get in. So please come buy books. But for other things, all the ticket prices are very reasonable. You'll see, and we deliberately kept the cost down to make it accessible to everybody.
Yeah, things are like $20 because they were asking me, should we charge more? And I was like, I wanted the price, at least for the first year, and maybe always, to be, what is the threshold where you don't think twice? And even though it's $25, $20 to me, it's sort of like, you just go.
Yeah.
It's like, and I do want you to show up, but I want people to buy tickets now. And then if they can't make it, just give them to somebody. It's not like I spent $800 a ticket or $1,400 a ticket. It's like, no, if it's $20, you buy the tickets and boom, you go or you don't, or you give them away.
But the full calendar is available on PrideLiveHollywood.com, and it will be constantly updated with additional guests as we book them and as we confirm them, and some surprises. So go there.
And we will not be if we say you don't want to miss this, we're not lying, because I would hate to be a person who felt cheated after that. So when I say you want to be at the Golden Girls panel, you want to be.
I'm a journalist. I'm not prone to hyperbole.
Yeah, no, you guys can smell that shit from others. So you're not doing that.
If and there we go. If you were,
is it Travolta? Is Travolta in?
It was Travolta. Oh my God!
No,
hi, John.
No, short of B. Arthur's corpse, reanimated.
Yeah,
it's good. Okay, it's not that. It's the next best thing to that, I think.
I love it. Is there a party that Outfest always had opening night? Is there a party that you feel like, oh, this will probably be the banger of the parties?
Well, I would say definitely come to Saturday Night Fever.
Yeah, I'm already there. I'm practically camped out in front of it.
We're dancing. You saved me a dance.
Oh, yes.
Talk about when we danced to Hung Up at the Hollywood, whatever it was, Hollywood Palace, you and I.
Yeah, we tore some shit
gay
up.
rights benefit. Oh, my God. That was back in the day. We were good.
We were good.
And dance with us after the Where the Bears Are documentary.
Yes.
So, yeah, there is opportunity for everything.
I love it. All right, guys, here's my final thought, and you can riff with me on this or not. I have a vision that this turns into a big thing and a very popular thing, and you guys become insufferable. No one can get you on the phone. Everyone's trying to get in. You're the Steve Rubell of this festival, and that you both maybe become assholes, but not to me.
I want that so bad.
I know. I so look forward to the day I can be an asshole. When do you see this happening?
I think maybe 2027. Is that too far away?
Okay. It's gonna. God, I only have 2 more years to fake being nice. Okay.
I'm very excited. No, but they say this is the best thing ever. So I'm a Scorpio, right? So people always, one of the key traits is loyalty. Okay, so if you're a Scorpio, you're very loyal.
Right.
But
interesting.
That said, somebody once said to me, my dearest friend said to me, you're not usually that mean, but when you are, you're meaner than anybody. And I was like, oh, that's the best thing anyone's ever said about me. That is so nice. So I do hope we'll get to that. Yeah, you always hope that someday you'll be like, oh, I don't know what to do with this money. That would be good too.
Yeah.
What am I going to do with all this money? I would be happy with that, or that would help me become more of an asshole too. I would like that a lot. So.
But you know what? I think people want to be involved with something. People want to do something. There's something probably exciting about this. I know you're probably not getting rich from it, but there is probably something about let's put on a show feeling, right?
It is. It's very, I'll meet you in the barn and we'll do this. Yes, this is not a money-making thing yet.
Yes.
So but with everything, and I'm sure you're like this as a freelancer. A lot of stuff you're like, if it doesn't cost me any money and it's really fun, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So
this is the kind of festival that if I weren't running it, I would be looking for the press person and saying, how do I get into this? I want to go to all those events because they all sound like so much fun.
Well,
now I get to go to all these events and actually be part of some of them. So
yes, it's got that BravoCon, Coachella feeling where it feels bigger than just a film festival. It feels like there's a spirit to it, and it's probably coming from you guys because you're so much fun and so smart and good about it.
Right back at you.
Yeah.
I'm fan number one with you.
All right. Well, I'm excited for you guys. I can't wait to see you at the thing. I'm sure there's outfits being planned already on your end.
That was the first thing we did. We went to the Mr. Turk sample sale. Oh my God, we went insane. We drove to Palm Springs to go to the warehouse sale.
Because to brag, I've lost 50 pounds.
Well done. I've seen you.
New clothes.
That's
He'll
good.
Be gone. He'll be gone soon. The way it's going, it's amazing.
You can wear Angel Flight pants to the disco night. Those are always a challenge, but worth it for everybody. I'm so excited. How many outfits do you have? Are we talking a different outfit every night, or do you think? Okay, really?
Oh yeah. Wow. Oh, Mary can wear anything. I'm the one who's sort of like, well, I'll see what fits. But I have some cute stuff. I'm excited about it too. So I have some new things.
All right.
But
everyone should.
I started dieting in 2021 for this festival, but it didn't happen. So,
well, everyone needs to go check out PrideLiveHollywood.com. I will see you there, and congratulations, guys! This is exciting, and I think people need it. I felt that when I was hosting the mismatch game, like, oh, people need this. It feels a little bit different now.
And we're going to see you at Mismatch Game right before the
June
start
7th. Yes, I love it. I love it. We'll promote your thing there too.
My favorite night in the theater ever, anywhere, is Mismatch Game. I love it. I wish it were every week. I love it so much.
Well, thank you. We always appreciate seeing you there. So there you go. Thanks, guys, for doing the podcast. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Thanks again to Frank DeCaro and Jim Colucci. Learn about their festival at PrideLiveHollywood.com. All right, and now I'm going to play an excerpt from one of my Patreon/Substack episodes of Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay to give you an idea of the vibe of the show.
And now it's time for Come On, Get Happy, musings on the science of happiness.
Okay, for this week's Come On Get Happy segment, I want to talk about my gratitude lists. There's a few things that come up over and over and over again for me in this journey around feeling happier and being happy anyway. And one of them is gratitude lists and gratitude generally. And the other one is dream boarding, which we'll talk about later because I think I want to do dream board story of the month because I have one every month that can unfold. But I wanted to talk about this one first because of all of the things that I've explored or tried to implement or read about during this journey, the gratitude list is the one that's the most magical of it's almost like a silver bullet. Like it has this power that I'm a little bit stunned by. And how I happened upon the idea of doing a gratitude list, which a lot of people recommend. It's you'll hear a lot of people say, write down 3 things at the end of the day that you're grateful for, 3 things that went well. And there's a lot of people that support that idea. So in 2020, when I took stock of my life and I realized that things weren't going great and my mission was to be happy anyway, one of the things I did, and then COVID hit, while I was trying to sort of embark on this journey, and I took this class that I read about in the Washington Post. I think there was an article, and there's a class that you could take through Yale called The Science of Well-Being by Dr. Laurie Santos, with Dr. Laurie Santos from Yale. And you could take it at home for free. And so I thought, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take this course. So I remember it was 8 or 9 weeks, or you would watch a lecture every week, and I think you could move through them at your own pace. I can't remember. I'm going to look back at those materials, but one of the things that they recommended at the end of this was that you take into your life one of several practices, and one of them was the gratitude list. And the idea is that you write something down at the end of the day, 3 things or 5 things or whatever that you're grateful for. And that's it. And then just see how it sort of affects you. And so I started doing that. And later I connected it to another ritual I have, which I have an app on my phone called 1 Second Every Day. And basically you record a second of video every day, whatever you're up to. And this program, this app, helps you organize it and put it by date into things, and you get to pick how much you want. If you subscribe and pay the fee, you can use more than a second, and I do that a lot. And I've been doing it ever since 2016. So I'll probably talk about that later in another podcast. But there's a notes feature to this app, so that's where I do my gratitude journal in my 1 Second Every Day under journal. So I started doing this in 2020. I would write down 5 things at the end of every day that I was grateful for. And this was during lockdown at the height of COVID. So there was a lot of uncertainty. And so sometimes it would be things like, I ordered a pizza and it was delicious, or just different things related to work. And what I started to realize is that this was becoming a journal and not just an exercise. Like I was writing down other things that happened that day as a way of remembering them. So anyway, I'm doing this and not really thinking how it's affecting my life or if there's anything to it or anything. I'm just doing it for myself. And I do know that just before you go to bed, thinking about things that went well, feeling like a winner in at least a few ways was good for my spirit, was good for my sleep, was just good for my overall well-being. Focusing on those things. So, like it's sort of a general idea, but your brain's probably going to be thinking something. So why not try to think of the things that are going to be the best for you, that are upbeat, that are hopeful, that are grateful. And so I started doing this. And I remember a few months in, it was the summertime, maybe July of 2020. I'm walking my dog and I'm out on a bench in my little condo area, and I get a call from my friend Matt. And he says his car broke down on Ventura Boulevard. Can I come and get him? Do I mind if I come and get him? And I didn't have anything going on. I was free. I was home. Everyone was home. And so I said, sure, I'll come and get you. And as I'm driving to pick him up on Ventura Boulevard, I'm driving, I'm kind of feeling upbeat, and I'm thinking, oh, this is definitely going on the list. This is definitely going. In fact, this is probably number 1 on the list. But why? I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm being a good friend, which is nice to do, but this wasn't an altruistic longing to make it number 1. Like I should put that. No, it was a given. Like there was no contest that this was going to be number 1 on the list. Not that I always rank them, but like this was making the list, and it was something I'm extremely grateful for. But it was, I think before this practice, I might have just thought of it as doing a favor or maybe a little inconvenient or whatever. This was all positive. It was all upside, me helping my friend. And it was just something like when I realized how certain I was and emphatic that this be on the list and also way high up, that I realized that something was changing in the way my brain was thinking about my life. From doing this practice, from writing down 5 things every day that I'm grateful for. And this was like a clear example that, something has shifted inside me, because I am like super jazzed about this and I can't wait to put it down there. And granted, we were all a little bored during COVID, but no, it was kind of striking. And I remember thinking, this gratitude thing is kind of magical. Like it's almost like a magic bullet, because it wasn't me being like, Dennis, you should really try to think of it this way. It was like, oh no, this is number 1, easy. Driving, I'm happy. Really interesting, because it wasn't something like I worked to do, or like it was just something that happened in a way that I changed in my way that I was thinking. And so eventually this gratitude journal ended up being kind of a journal generally, because I've always wanted to keep a journal. I always sort of thought there was value in that. Turns out I hate writing. No, not really. But so if something bad happened or something that's hard to spin as gratitude, I knew I would write it down. It had to be on the list because it was the big event of the day. So what I started doing is when things weren't great, I would start looking for the part of the not great thing that I was grateful for in real time, because I knew that I was going to be writing it down later. It was the news of the day. So I had to think of the grateful parts. And I started thinking of them as things were unfolding. I remember, I think it was around the holiday time, my dog Enzo got really sick kind of out of nowhere. And I don't even remember what kind of sickness, throwing up or something. I don't know, but something was off and I wanted to get him help. And it was like New Year's Eve, maybe. It was kind of like a holiday time. I remember I had friends coming over to watch a movie or something. And so there weren't a lot of places open, but I remember driving to an urgent care in Burbank, like one that was open 24 hours or something for pets. And I remember as I was driving there thinking, oh, this is definitely going on the list of the event. This is going to be on the list. So what parts of this am I grateful for? I'm grateful that there's a place that's open. I'm grateful that I live in a city where there's a place nearby. Like I started thinking of these things as it was unfolding. And I think that it helped me cope with it better. I think that I wasn't a nervous wreck. I wasn't like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Or why does this happen to me? Or any of that stuff. I was a little bit more like, okay, so it kept me in a much better place about it. And as it was unfolding, I was better able to communicate with the doctors. I was kinder to them. I liked who I was through all of it. And it ended up being fine. And he recovered, and it was not that big a deal. And I remember not beating myself up for having to pay for it or put it on a credit card or whatever it was. I remember thinking, oh, there's got to be parts of this that I'm grateful for. So why don't we think of them now as it's happening? And I think that is a result of doing this gratitude list. And I of all the things I've done, it's the thing that feels the most like cheating, like the most magical. Like, really? That had that effect on that? But I think something happens. I think something shifts in your head. And that's the kind of stuff I look forward to exploring more on this, finding more data on it, because I do know a lot of people in this field recommend it. And I do too. It's really helped me, and it's become a part of my everyday life. I do it every single day. And I'll talk more about it as things go on, because there's always things about it that I'm like, oh, that led to that, led to that, led to that. And so, yeah. So I say do it. Just start writing 5 things every day that you're grateful for, 3 things, whatever you think of, and see how it affects your life. All right, so that's a little bit of Dennis Hensley's Happy and Gay. I hope you subscribe. I would love that. That's enough for this week. Thank you so much for listening, and I want to give a shout-out to Oscar Rosario for mixing the episodes. My theme music is by Mark Daniels, Replacement Music. We will catch you next time on Dennis Anyone. Bye!